Okay, so for guys that are early, okay, so early arm raise or early trunk rotation, guys that don't really get the full capacity of releasing rotational energy or capturing rotational energy as it pertains to the arm action, right? So just to give you some context, what we're trying to do is maintain neutral trunk while at the center point of our drive phase, hips initiate rotation, anchor down, so we're in a stretched position. Okay, this is hip shoulder separation. I call it segmentation. So we're in the stretch position, hands in a good spot to be leveraged as we then capture all that rotational energy to throw. So guys that are early, okay, guys that are early arm, early trunk, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find mechanisms to kill time. Okay, so arm action is very hard to, like the motor pattern of someone's arm action, especially if they're older guys. It's gonna be really hard to ingrain like a new arm action, you know, throughout the course of a couple months. So what I talk about is how we can implement some like mechanical components to help aid in that. So one that's a very simple one is, obviously we're trying to kill time, delay the point in which you handbrake. All right, so the time in which the individual separates the hand or the throwing hand from the glove, that could be something super easy. So if someone that's early separates, it's usually right around separation of descending move from leg lift. Think about delaying that period of time. Delay that period of which you handbrake to then maybe descend, enter your drive phase, and then separate. That's going to naturally speed up your arm, but it's also going to kill some time. Second thing is get your acceleration into your front foot strike going, right? So like the initial move, a lot of guys that are early will descend, tilt, coil, head will go over the backside, right? So for those guys, those are early, so you have a lot of time. You're buying the arm a lot of time to come up. So instead of doing that, think about head over the glove side shoulder. It's going to feel extremely difficult and weird, but head over the glove side shoulder. So you're going to increase the amount of acceleration you have down the slope. Remember, gravity is our friend. We want to influence gravity. So for those guys that separate, hands, descend, head goes over to the back foot, think about the opposite, right? So you're killing time. So you're trying to get your body to obviously increase its acceleration, but you're trying to get to the accomplished goal of keeping that trunk neutral so you can authentically segment the two rotations. So one, just play around. You can do even like shuffle throws of just delaying the time in which your hands separate. And then for the second one, for the acceleration rate, increasing the acceleration rate, something that I've had a lot of success with is just looking at the initial move and looking at the period of time in which the front foot leaves the ground. So as soon as the front foot leaves the ground, increase the tempo of that leg lift. Increase the tempo, and instead of trying to defy gravity, and obviously there's a period of time in which you want to load your drive leg, but if we're trying to over amplify this component, that's something that you can do as well. Increase the forward move, leg lift, go, and not defy forward gravity. It's going to feel extremely weird. I would encourage, when we're progressing like this, rackets, towels, not throwing, just to get like that happy medium for you. Okay, so I was working with a kid whose early arm raise is influencing early trunk, and he's a prime example of separating as we descend, and then head goes over the back. So by the time you anchor, you have limited amount of rotational energy. And those are the two same points that I encourage him with, is get a little bit greater tempo, almost a tempo in which feels uncomfortable, which is going to feel uncomfortable because you're not used to that tempo. A lot of early arm guys, a lot of early trunk guys are used to perception of power in which they feel like I'm loading, but then you have all this time. So if that's a feeling, that kind of counter rotation or tilt of the trunk, if that feeling is something that you want to keep, like I said, I think the timing of which your hands break can be extremely beneficial. So if I'm gonna still load, I can still load and delay the handbrake. Boom. So maybe that makes sense. Hopefully it helps. If it doesn't, I apologize. Till next time.